like, 3 sentences ahead, and they're trying to get you. No, just say this,
Yeah.
and then we'll get there. You can watch some improv where like, it takes you like, sometimes you won't get a laugh.
Yeah.
But until like 4 or 5 sentences in,
Yeah.
but like audiences don't need to be like there's something that draws you in about like, oh, these are 2 characters. Where are they going? Oh,
What's going on?
Yeah, like what's happening there? And I'd be interested. So to also quickly from this bounce to kind of the last thing that part of your question, and then wrap into this, because I realized I just hit the part where, so Second City here, like in Chicago, they have classes both online and that you can go into the building. You have to have some, I think you need to have your shots, maybe your booster, whatever it is. But in Chicago, you can. Hollywood still hasn't opened.
Okay.
But once they do, like I'm constantly checking the website, and once they actually open, I and Carrie too, my wife Carrie too, we both are like have a slew of classes that we want to take.
You ready to go back in and study?
Yeah, definitely want, and different stuff. Like I want to take a writing, because like I have ideas, but that's something that has always kind of scared me. Gotcha. Like I'll say other people's words, but like my own writing, I don't. I go right back to being 17.
Gotcha.
And it's out of the realm of things that, and I want to be, anyway, I would like to start writing. So
that's cool.
I need that spark though.
That push again.
I guess I don't need it, but, and actually, I think I mentioned before that, I just started on a journey. I have 2 classes to get my AA, and then trying to get into getting my teaching credentials. So
we spoke about that offline.
Yeah, yes. But like within that, I'm already starting to have to write, for like essay questions and stuff like that. So I'm getting in the mode of also, I've never really I just got my first laptop. Like I just ordered it. It'll be here on Tuesday.
Hey, baby steps.
I've never had a laptop before.
Speaking of apples.
So yeah, that's coming. And so hopefully, that opens up a whole new chapter too.
It definitely will. And I just want to talk about one more thing about the improv, which was one thing that I also learned too about improv is that a lot of people, like going back to you saying like rookies, they're mostly selfish in their improv ways. Mm-hmm. When I learned that improv is supposed to be a support thing. It's like, I want to make you look as good as possible. Yeah. It's supposed to be a supportive role.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is. It's definitely like a, there's a pretty popular improv game called Mind Meld. Excuse me. And the whole point is to basically, you start out with everybody walking around, and you have one thing, like you say sun, the word sun. Everybody walks around, and then 3, 2, 1, everybody yells out a word, right? Okay. Just any word.
Okay.
And whoever says like words that are the same, you get into those groups.
Oh, cool.
Right? And then like you're given a little bit of time, and like within the groups, like you'll say a word, that, and there might be some people that like don't get into these groups,
It's fine. It's
but
fine.
You keep saying the words until you're all in one group. You're all in the same group.
Dope.
So, and that's kind of like the basic concept when you have an improv group. It's like, it's a team,
100%.
Everybody trusts everybody else to like going back to what I said, that no matter, you know, even if we're not like at this point in this scene, if we're not 100% like connected, I know whatever I say, you're gonna pick up on it, and it's gonna progress the scene or heighten, or you're gonna heighten the scene, or let me be quiet because I don't really have anything yet. Like nothing's quite there,
Yep.
and that's okay too.
It's perfectly fine.
But if I'm listening and willing to whatever you say, you know, accept that as a reality of where we're at or who we are or what situation we're in, and like that's where we're at. Yes, that's where we're at, and we got to do the, you know, to yes, and that's the big.
That's the thing. Yep.
That's
yes,
the main
and.
concept of
Yes,
improv is
and.
yes, and that just means accepting and heightening, you know,
And going from there.
yeah, and
I have to ask you one more time, Cash.
Yeah.
Something's telling me. Can we improv something for them so they can understand what improv is up into the cuff?
sure,
Sure?
yes. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I feel more so we'll sure, we are okay, a relationship, we're
Okay.
okay, I'll go with what I said before.
Okay.
So we are brothers
Okay.
that are meeting for the first time
Okay.
at our like at our father's funeral.
I like it.
We don't, and neither of us knew him. Okay.
That bastard.
Jim, right?
James, but yes.
Oh, sorry. I met his wife said that she called you Jimmy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But she said that she said that we have something in common. That I guess he was both our dads. I didn't know him. I had never met him. But
Whoa.
yeah, I came because I actually found out. I guess he's leaving me a Corolla or something.
Okay.
But that's why I came. I found out last week that he had passed. I didn't know I never knew my dad, and so but she said that this was also your dad.
Yeah. Wow. Always wanted a brother.
Oh, me too. I like I said, I never had a dad, and I grew up in an orphanage. So
You know, what was your name?
I'm Jake.
Jake.
Yeah.
Apparently Jays, I guess they like the Jays, apparently.
Yeah. Well, I guess his name was John. So.
You know, to be honest, I never really had a relationship with him either.
Oh, well.
You know.
At least he was, at least he didn't play favorites.
That part. He was a Rolling Stone, apparently.
Yeah.
And I guess, you see that girl over there?
Yeah, the one in the red?
Yeah, Janine.
Yeah.
That's our sister.
Oh. Oh, really?
Yes.
Asian.
Hey.
I mean, I guess he...
Been around the world.
Again, no favorites. So...
He's been around the world.
Yeah.
And...
apparently.
It's... When I was a kid, I always used to play with... I used to watch the show Jimmy Neutron all the time.
Oh, yeah, I know it.
So
I've
my
seen
mom
it.
would always call me Jimmy because I freaking love that show.
Oh,
You know?
I get it.
But I get super angry when people call me it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Apologies.
It's okay.
James.
Jake,
Yeah.
right?
Jake, yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah, nice.
So, man, like, when did you find out that Pops was dead?
Like I said last week, a lawyer came. He said that he contacted me at work, and he said that to show up here, I guess tomorrow they're reading the will, and I have like a 73 Corolla. It doesn't run, so I don't know how I'm going to get it home or whatever. And I don't. Yeah, and I live in Canada, so I don't know how I'm going to get it even across the board. I don't know custom.
Got you.
You know.
Were you born in Canada? Because I don't even hear an accent or anything like that.
No. I actually just recently moved there for work.
Okay.
So,
Gotcha. Like apparently dad was loaded.
Oh.
So there might be that might be like a classic car that has some
Oh.
money worth of it maybe. I'm supposed to be getting the house.
Oh. Okay.
His house upstate, and
Oh,
so
are you local then?
semi-local, about like 45 miles away,
Oh,
as you
okay.
could
Oh, that's
say.
not bad.
So I'm supposed to be getting the estate, but I'm thinking about either selling it or renting it out. What do you think I should do?
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you're happy with the place you're living, I mean, you could always, if it's an upgrade, I would say move in there, and then
Mm,
use your current residence as to lease out,
I like that, Jake.
you know,
I like that. I like that.
and see.
Scene.
So,
So that is improv right there, folks.
yeah.
Just a little quick taste.
There you go. There you go.
Little quick taste. So Cash, I wanted to, I think you kind of mentioned it a little bit. So I was going to talk about teaching, but it seems like you're already kind of in the process of doing a little bit of teaching, and you've taught before, right?
I have at a couple different, well, mainly at so where my wife teaches, the drama teacher for the high school, when my daughter Sophia was going to that school, was actually at the same time that I was going to Second City. And so since then, whenever I had a day off, I would contact the drama teacher, and she encouraged me to come in, and the kids got like a day of improv, basically. And then my wife does like, so at her school, they do like a summer, it's not necessarily summer school, but for like 2 weeks, they take classes that are, it's like if you kind of like, if you were to take them to the rec center, and there was like, it's not necessarily teachers, but it's like professionals or experts within the field, teaching. And so
Cool.
I'm
That's
going
actually really cool.
to be doing for 1 week 2 classes, fundamentals of acting and then intro to improv. And
Okay.
and to me, and so like with what I'm doing, in my personal life, like I was saying, going back to school is trying to get my teaching credentials, so that, like for me, like I said, like the first time was in my freshman year, when I did Dracula, and all through high school, it's like, going back, to the beginning of today's interview,
Yeah.
where I said like high school for everybody's like awkward, and it depending on where you went to junior high, you might have friends from there, you might not. It's like about making friends, finding your group, finding who you are.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
The theater always was like, the place of acceptance,
Yeah.
always, because the other people that, like freshman year, a lot of people, it was like 50-50. Some people like were interested in like, doing acting. Other people were like, this seemed like an easy elective,
Yeah.
but like, by sophomore, by junior, by that time, like really the people that are in there, are in there because they, they really enjoy this, the thing of acting, or they feel acceptance, because, by the sophomore, the junior, if you're in there because it's like, you can have an idea or a choice that like, the other people, even if they're like, ooh, that was a little off, they're not going to like berate you for it. Like it's a supportive place to have an idea or to make a mistake,
Yeah.
or to, and like that to me, especially once, this part of my work life is over, then having the next part be something that like I play a part in these people's like start of loving that,
Acting world as well.
yeah, like, and I feel like that, like I said too, is, these aren't going to be like the greatest actors in the world, in junior high or high school or wherever I end up, but the love of like working on it will be there, and this is when, like I said, all your emotions are like at their peak,
Yeah.
and if you can like somewhat harness that, I mean, I think you can really, have something. But if nothing else, you're gonna like fuel that fire to pursue it, in the college level or in the professional level,
Gotcha.
So
Nice. I was gonna ask about directing, but I actually have a different question. And you mentioned your wife Carrie several times throughout this interview and the other interview. So, how important do you think it is being an artist and in the arts to be with someone who's also in the arts or understands the arts and cares about the arts?
well, so I think if you're going to make it a big part of who you are, or of your life, you have to have a partner that, at the very least, understands it. And
Facts.
I don't think you can understand it unless you've done it.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
for Carrie,
Shout out to you, Carrie.
yes, and if you do listen to this, I believe I am going to represent you exactly how you want, and I believe she will be a future guest, so she can correct me at that time. But so Carrie was always into film, and like, and not just going to the movies, but like, who directed, like who did, like if it was, a period piece or something, like, oh, who worked on the costumes for that,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like, and would watch the Academy Awards for, like not just the main awards.
Yeah. She's like a producer mindset. Sounds like.
But yeah, well, and that's what I'm gearing towards.
Uh
But when she met me, so when she met me was kind of like when I was in McMinnville at that time, is like, she had never been around like community theater. It
Oh.
just wasn't like, she didn't really, I don't think she really, even in high school, saw the plays. I think we talked about it once, and she said she knew that there was a drama class, or that there was like something in drama, but she just wasn't around it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But then it was a big part of my life when we first, got together. And so she started coming to see some of my shows, and then she started working backstage at the places that I was at. And then probably, for us, a big change came in, I want to say 2010. And it was, there was so in Redlands, well, in the Inland Empire, there is a series of theaters called the Fox Theaters. And in Redlands, I don't know if it's true for all of them, but I know the one in Redlands it was always a movie house. They did like vaudeville in the very, very early, and I think it started in the late teens, or late 19 teens or 1920s. And they did vaudeville in the very beginning, but then as soon as there was movies, it was a movie house. It was like a movie theater. So they never really did live theater at the Fox in Redlands, until we were driving by one day, and we had been talking about it, and stopped in and asked. We ended up doing a show called I'm sorry. At first, we did somebody else's show. That just to kind of get in the door and figure out what it was like doing a play there. And then it was okay. Then the next thing we did was the complete works of Shakespeare, which didn't really work for the space. And then the third thing we did there, and this was probably 5 months after initially walking in, was a murder mystery dinner show that we had done once before at the Redlands Senior Center for the senior citizens, because we had a really good friend that was, and I think he still is, like the director of activities for them, and he wanted to do something for them. So he asked us, and we had already done the show, so we were familiar with it. We recast it, and we did it, and we had people come in, and it kind of clicked and worked. And so from there, we started finding all these scripts for murder mysteries that we could break into 5 parts so we could have dinner. And that lasted for like a couple years. And each one got better and better. And, to answer your initial question, Carrie at that time, a lady, I think her name was Suzanne. I can't remember her last name, but she went by the Duchess.
Wow.
Was running
Wow.
was running the Fox at the time.
Oh man.
Was managing it.
Was she even a duchess?
I don't
Okay.
I don't know.
We didn't research it.
But
Wow.
so as as our roles started to form, because we were on the ground floor, we cast a lot of the first ones with just friends that we had known from the theater, so we knew they could act, and they were really good, and like everyone we did, we would figure out something more to make it just a little better, or a little more entertaining, or run a little smoother. But I was always in charge basically of getting the show, whatever the show needed, this, whether it was the set or the cost. I would do some of the costumes, but Carrie would also come in on the costumes because she knew where to find the stuff. She knew what to do.
Yeah.
But like, as far as directing it and as far as what the show would look like and how it would operate, would be me. But like everything else was Carrie. Like, so like I was basically director, and then everything else basically fell under producing, and that was Carrie. And those 2 years, I mean, Carrie like started like figuring out, ways of the contract and ways we can do it, to where we also, I think within the first year, it may have been towards the end of that first year, we started also doing classic movie Tuesdays, where they had a full HD projector, and Carrie found a company where you could buy the rights for an evening to show a movie and sell tickets.
Cool.
And then Carrie, like even that, like within the producing of that, like she got Hangar 24 to like she had
It's a brewery, by the way, guys.
a local brewery. So like she would, almost advertise for them, like with that.
Cool.
She started making like sandwiches you could get. When we first started doing it, we would get a U-Haul, and we took our couch and our 2 recliner chairs and a throw rug and a coffee table and a side table, all in this U-Haul van, and take it and set it up at the back. So you could, like, there was chairs, like, not folding chairs, but like auditorium type chairs. But behind that, you could like, and it was first come first serve. You didn't pay any extra. You just,
If you
and
get there, yeah, yeah,
it got people there, and and that was like, and that was Carrie too. She was like, dude,
yeah,
like people are gonna want to like get here early. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So
to get those seats.
yeah, so we'll, we won't have stragglers and we won't like this and that, and
So married being with
she
someone
just
in the arts.
really started shining as a producer.
Yeah,
But like, to answer your question, like leading up to that, she already knew like everything that goes, on with it on like the acting stuff. Like what,
yeah,
like that's what a lot of people like, you go see a show, oh, that was great, but nobody ever sees all this work that goes into just putting on a show.
yeah. They're not thinking about it.
Yeah, there's just a tremendous amount of work, and I think both parties have to understand, the bottom line, like all the sacrifices, because a lot of people don't. Because when you're part of the theater, there are just nights where you're there till midnight,
Mm-hmm.
and you like can't come home, got to go straight to the theater because I need to finish this, before this will work, or whatever it is. But the other person, and that goes, with anything, if you're gonna be a realtor, your partner has either got to be a realtor or understand that like if you're on vacation and you get a call, or your partner gets a call with work and they have to be gone for the entire rest of the day.
Yeah,
Well, like, oh, we're supposed to go snort. Well, you have to understand that you know that's their life, or your life.
definitely.
So I think no matter what, like, yes, I think that's important.
I said